Hey, what's up everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Greenleaf Season 3, Episode 10, and the name of this episode is The Promised Land. Man, I love me some Greenleaf, and there are 3 more episodes left, and from the previews, it's going to get insane up in the House of Gold. So, I can't wait to get into this episode because this episode was really good. So let me begin. So they're now prepping for Lady Days, for Lady Day, Lady May's event, and you remember the title, She Changes Everything. We see that in the beginning of this episode, we see that Lady May is working late at the church, and she sends an email to all of her children and family that now that her and the bishop are now officially divorced, and we see all of them have different emotions. We see Grace and Sophia. We see Jacob and Carissa, and Jacob actually starts crying, and we see that Carissa's there to comfort him, and that was moving. Then we see that Charity kind of tears up, and she's with baby Nathan, and then we see Zora. Zora is in bed reading it on her phone, laying in bed with Isaiah. So I'm like, this is interesting. And so, in this episode, we actually find out what's been going on with Zora since she, left with Isaiah. And then we also see that the bishop is staying with Percy. Percy's drinking while the bishop's praying. So we definitely saw that go on. So that's pretty much where the episode ended. She emails everybody letting them know about her divorcing the bishop. So then we get a scene with Carissa and Jacob. She gets word that Tasha quit, and she says, well, if anything, the people at the church was still treating her as if she was the first lady, and now I'm about to take her office and I'm going to show them who the first lady is, and it's me. And I'm like, wow, Carissa. Yeah, because Carissa, we can definitely tell Carissa wanted that spot, just like Lady May has that spot. We definitely knew that was one of her reasons why she married a Greenleaf. She wanted to be a first lady, and she was saying that, yeah, they were all treating me, like I was an outsider, when yet, I am the first lady, and I'm going to let them know I'm the first lady, But then she's asking, why did Tasha quit, though? Like, what will make her do that? And he was like, I don't know. Maybe Basie's back in town. I don't know. It's just weird. I mean, but hey, she just left. And she's saying it's really odd. And I'm like, yeah, if only you knew. And in this episode, she finds out. So we're going to keep it moving. Then we see Grace and Rochelle. They meet up with Cora Lee. Cora Lee wants to take the plea deal. And Grace is saying that, look, we've hired an attorney to help represent you. But she's like, I'm not taking that risk. I'm not putting my freedom in jeopardy. Because what if this attorney doesn't win and all of that? And, right, at least with the plea deal, I'll at least be able to see my kids after 20 years. And I want what's best for them. And that's when Rochelle steps in, and she was like, you don't want to take that deal. She says that my mother went to jail, and me and my sister were put in the system. And trust me, that's no way to live, and that's no way to grow up. And if you take this deal, that's what's going to happen to your children. So you should at least meet this lawyer, and trust me, this may be the better option. And she pretty much tells her, and pretty much Coralie says, I'm scared. And she's like, yes, I know. But, we're here for you. So Grace is kind of peeping the whole situation, is like how she can, easily intervene and change the whole situation. Because Grace was literally telling this girl, you need to do this. But then Coralie also knows a little bit about Grace. So she's saying that, don't you think that that if we take this to court, that they could easily bring you into the equation? I'm not trusting this at all. I'm going to take the plea deal. But yeah, Rochelle got her on board, and now Grace is wondering, okay, Rochelle, what's really going on with your past? What is it that you're not telling? Because you've been real sketchy this whole time. We know you got money, but what are your connections? So then we see that Maxine Patterson shows up, and, she has a run-in with the bishop, and the bishop was like, so tell me, who's really the donkey, you or her? And she's like, well, I don't know, but I know one thing, you're the ass. I was like, oh, the shade is real. And then, the bishop was like, and just walked away. And then all of a sudden, Lady Mae was like, oh, so, and she's like, yeah, I feel sorry for the bishop. It's like he's lost in his own church. But Maxine's like, yeah, but it's about to be your church. So come on, we got some work to do. So Grace pretty much has a conversation with Darius, and she wants him to look into Rochelle again, to her past being in the foster care, like run her name Rochelle Cross and see where what foster homes was she a part of when she was growing up. So he lets her know he's on it. So then we see that the bishop has a run-in with Rochelle, and pretty much she mentions that, I've been hearing rumors about you and Lady Mae, and he says, oh no, they're not rumors, me and her are divorced, but he's like, how'd you know about it? She says, I heard around, and besides, it's all around town, everybody knows about it. And she was saying that, would you want to have, a drink and console? And he was like, I love that. So it's like, yeah, she definitely got him wrapped around her finger. So then we see Carissa is at Triumph, and she meets the new accountant, Obi, because normally, because at first, there was the money manager used to handle the accounts, and after Jacob fired her, Tasha was handling her job. So now they've hired this new guy named Obi, who's now the new accountant, and he pretty much says that there's some irregularities with the church's account. And if anything, this is like striking Carissa as weird. Like, what do you mean irregularities? What's going on? And, he kind of shows, I don't think he shows her in this scene. I'll just keep it moving. Alright, so then we get a scene with Zora and Isaiah. They are in Atlanta. Isaiah is about to drop his new album, and he's on the radio station, and he's pretty much getting callers, and there's like girls who are calling, and he's carrying on as if he's a single man, as if like Zora ain't even there, and he's pretty much playing the role that he's this available single guy, and he's definitely going to be doing some secular music. And then the second girl called in, and he was like, yo, so what's going on? And it goes to show you how messed up people are, because here it is, this girl, the second caller, brings up the video of him at the Greenleaf gate, and he was saying, so who's that girl Zora? Is she your girlfriend? Are y'all together? And he never answered it. But then again, how come they didn't bring up the fact when Zora's father looked in the camera and says that Isaiah hits girls? It seemed to me that these girls don't care. They trying to get next to him because he a superstar. And then we see that she gets an alert on her phone, and it's from Spelman College, and he kind of gives her that look, and she's like, I'm sorry. And then all of a sudden, she goes to give him his coat, and he's like, you've been making a lot of mistakes lately. And then snatches the coat from her. I'm like, little Ike Turner got some nerve, bruh. Like, but this is who you left your family for, Zora. You left the comforts of your family to be around this punk who takes pleasure out of bullying and abusing you. Oh yeah, and shout out to Lynn Whitfield. I follow her on Twitter. She pretty much left a tweet that I shared on my page where she has said that if you have a man who has 4 pictures of only him on the wall, you need to run for your life, because this guy is completely obsessed with himself. And we see this even more so, and I'm gonna get to that. So let's keep it moving. So then we see Charity meets this guy named Michael, who's the music director of Maxine Patterson's church, because with this event they're going to be collaborating. So they are collaborating everything, and we see that she got her eyes on him because he decides that before they do any business they should pray. So they pray together, and then, you know, we definitely can tell she's checking him out because he's good looking. And then pretty much he asks, was she free for dinner? She says, yeah, I am, but you know, I have my son. And then she also mentions Kevin, you know, her ex-husband, who's gay. And then she's like, oh, I'm so sorry that he deceived you like that. You know, it's just a terrible sin and all of this. And I'm like, bro, you doing a little too much for somebody you just met. And besides, even if, you know, Kevin's gay, that's still the father of her son. And Kevin is still a human being at the end of the day. You know, but you got this going on in the black church a lot where people are insanely homophobic and they think it's godlike and there's no God in it whatsoever. And, you know, here it is. She was kind of taken aback by it, but she's like, okay, but, you know, I'll do a rain check with you, you know, about dinner or whatever. But yeah, I would definitely love to go out to dinner with you sometime. So then we actually see that, that Maxine and Lady May are working together on the She Changes Everything. And Maxine pretty much says that the way you got this thing going on right now, honey, you're going to put everyone to sleep. You know, and she pretty much says that, look, why don't you get Grace involved? She's like, no, Grace is not going to be involved in this. She's like, well, why not? You know, shoot, Grace knows how to get people going. Grace is powerful in the pulpit. You need to put her on this. And she's like, Grace is not a part of this, and she's not gonna be doing this at all. And I'm like, see, there you go. As it goes to go again, what I said in the last episode, it's about her ego. Like, where's God, honey? Because if God was involved, you would bring your daughter along with you, because that will definitely make, you know, your event even more successful. But you don't want Grace in it because you don't want Grace taking your shine. But then Corinne comes and says that Lionel's on the phone for you. Pretty much she tells him, tell him no. But then, you know, Maxine lets her know that, look, getting Grace is your big opportunity. You should think about it. So therefore, we see that Carissa goes and confronts Jacob about what she heard from Obi. And she's like, what's going on with Tasha? You know, since she took charge, there's some questionable things about the accounts. You know, you need to reach out to her. So we see that Jacob calls Tasha. Tasha is at her house getting bent off of Jack Daniels, and she got the phone on vibrate. And she's like, now he want to call me. Just getting drunk like a fish. And next thing you know, we see that Rochelle comes in there, and she pretty much goes off because she's like, what the heck you doing up in here? Why you ain't at Triumph? And Tasha lets her know, I quit. And she's like, well, you quit? What you mean you quit? What you been doing? She's like, well, I've been watching TMZ, but you know, that's all that's been going on. And she goes off, and she's like, I don't know what kind of games you playing, but I'm over here working to tie these loose ends, and you are not going to screw this up for me. You know? And she says that, look, I did what you wanted me to do. I got him to sign the files, and now it's done. Okay? It's done. She's like, yeah, but because you're not there to oversee it, this new person that they got in there is gonna get suspicious, and they're gonna start tying things up. And she's like, what do you want from me? I'm done. I'm done with this. And besides, you're doing this to an innocent man. And she's like, Jacob Greenleaf? She's like, yes, he's innocent and he's a good man. And she's like, oh, you falling in love with him, huh? And she's like, what would Basie think? She's like, it doesn't matter what Basie thinks. And besides, I would rather go after Jacob than to continue to deal with your sorry brother who obviously never meets up to what he's supposed to do. And she's like, oh, really? That's how you feel? She's like, it's true. And she says, and besides, Basie ain't got nothing to say about it anyway because Basie's dead. Because if he ain't dead, where is he then? And she tells her that you get the hell out of my house. And if you come back here, I'm calling the police. And I may change what I may tell them too. So get up out of here. So Rochelle gets in the car and calls somebody and was like, we got a problem. So then we see that Maxine goes to talk to Grace because Maxine is moving. Maxine is moving. And she's pretty much saying that, oh yes, I know I've heard about your legal fund. I want to double dip and actually help you out even more. Send me an email and I'll forward it to my team and we'll definitely make sure you get more funding for it. And she's like, oh wow, that's gracious. That's so nice of you. So she's pretty much said, so I'm going to ask you and your mother. And Grace was like, yeah. She's like, what's really going on with that? And she's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. She was like, come on now. Like, Maxine trying to get to the bottom as to why May doesn't want Grace to be a part of the program when she know that Grace is a good preacher. But she's like, okay, I'll leave it alone for now. But give me that email. And I'm like, oh, Maxine's messy. But I'm loving it, though. So then we see that Grace actually talks to Darius. And he says that, look, I got a cop friend. And, we ran Rochelle's information. And the thing is, we only got one foster home that she could have been a part of. So we can, and they got the same address. So you want to go on a field trip? So then, we see that Rochelle is meeting up with Bishop. They having drinks. They talking about a bright future and all that. And I'm like, if only you knew, Bishop, you up here drinking and cheering with the devil. And she is just living for it. I mean, Rochelle, the Jezebel, has divided and conquered. And she's really feeling herself in that moment. So then we get a scene with Zora and Isaiah. She cuts Isaiah a piece of cake or whatever. And she pretty much says that I just got this email from Spellman. They want to give me an interview. Well, he was like, well, you ain't gonna be able to do that. And she says, why not? He says that, look, I'm gonna need you to be by my side and everything. And how you gonna be my girl if you gonna be going to Spellman and all that? Like, I need you with me. And she says, need you, me with you? You didn't even claim me on the radio. And she was like, and he was like, what you talking about? She said, exactly. Like, you up here, dealing with all these thirsty chicks, instead of you giving them some Aquafina or something to drink, you just fed into it. And I'm right there in the studio. So how you gonna say I'm your girl, but yet you won't even claim me that I'm your woman? And he was like, well, maybe I'm not claiming you because you haven't proven that you deserve me. I'm like, little Ike Turner with your Little Rocket 88, you need to go somewhere with that crap, because first of all, who are you? Who are you, Isaiah? Really? You ain't got no gold plaques. You ain't got no Grammys. You have not even made it yet, and you already thinking that it's all about you, which goes to what Liv Whitfield did in that said in her Twitter about him, because he literally has like an Andy Warhol of all these 4 pictures, and it's all him. So literally, he's all about himself. And pretty much he also says, and besides, why you gonna meet with Spellman anyway? Because it's not that they're gonna be recruiting high school dropouts. You came to Atlanta for me. You ain't come here for you. And then he gonna throw the cake and was like, and I told you I'm watching my carbs. I'm like, oh, this fool is ridiculous. Zora, get out. You know, like the movie, get out. Get out. Again, get out. And I'm going to move on. Oh, whew, that scene had me tripping. Because he really had the nerve. Little Ike Turner tripping. Alright. So then, we see that Carissa calls Tasha. Tasha answers the phone, and she's like, look, I'm not a bad person. I'm not a bad person. And then Carissa's like, Tasha, have you been drinking, or are you high? What's going on? She's like, I've done bad things. You know, I'm not a bad person, but I did bad things. She's like, well, what did you do? What happened? She's like, it was just a kiss. It was just a kiss. That's all it was. And she was like, so is that why you left? Is that why you left? And then she hangs up. And I'm like, Carissa was hot. Then we see that Maxine Patterson and Lady May are singing His Eyes on the Sparrow, you know, so Lynn Whitfield is doing her thing with Miss Patty, honey. And I'm like, look at Lynn Whitfield can hold a tune. I'm like, I'm with you. It's cute. And then, you know, she says that, girl, you a triple threat. You know, you're going to be preaching, you're going to be singing, and you good looking. You know, you got the perfect package. But then you need to bring Grace on to this program, and she just completely like, oh no, that's not happening. And she's like, oh, don't do that, May, don't do that. She's like, oh girl, I don't know what you mean, but I have so much to do, and we do have dinner arrangements at 8. Okay, I'll see you then. Bye. I'm like, see, you are so messy, May. You are so messy. But that was cute how she pulled that off, and Maxie was calling it too, like, don't do that, May. May, don't act like that. Like, you being extra. So, next you know, we see that Carissa finds Jacob, and she goes off. And she's like, yo, trifling behind did this again. Here it is, you done messing around with that gold-plated hussy, and then you lied to my face about it. And he was like, it was, but she's saying it was just a kiss. And he was like, it was just a kiss. And she was like, here it is, I thought that you were faithful, and I trusted you again, and this is what you do to me? You know, and she says, this is all your fault. This is why Zora left. Because a man is supposed to be a strong tower, but you ain't nothing but a twig. And he's like, oh, I'm a twig now? It's like, not even that. You a twig in a puddle. You know, you don't have no substance, and that's the reason why this family's falling apart. And they just gets real hot between them. And next thing you know, we see Obi comes in. He's like, I have some more information about the account. And he tried to excuse me. He's like, it's okay. Come in and let us know what's going on. He lets you know, well, he seems that someone, you know, is a part of this account. So they pretty much what we saw that what Tasha did, where funding from Triumph was going into the People's Church, you know, Jacob's, you know, idea. And he says that there's been money wired to this account, over $200,000, and that somebody's been making the withdrawals, but I don't know who's been doing it. So now they realize that not only was you messing around with Tasha, but now you're about to be a part of the scandal where there's funds that are there's a misappropriation of funds within the church, and they're going to be looking at you, Jacob. So it's like, man, Jacob just can't win. But yeah, but Carissa went off, called him a twig in a puddle. Like, you ain't even a strong man, and that's the reason why my daughter ain't here. I'm like, well, yeah, he's probably responsible for that too. Can't deny that. So, we see that Grace and Darius go to this woman's house, and they ask about Rochelle Cross, and she says that, yeah, Rochelle and her sister Tara were here, but Cross was not the last name. It was James. So immediately Grace knew what was up. So then we see that May finally goes to see Lionel, and she's like, what do you want, Lionel? And he's like, I want to talk to you about my daughter. Daughter? Oh, May. Ooh, when the bishop find out about this, boy, this is gonna be some good stuff here. I was like, woo, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Somebody get my handkerchief. Like, I had to be like, daughter. So the question is his daughter Grace? Because we've been, ever since season 1, we've all been speculating whether the bishop is Grace's biological father, and we see how the way she treats Grace with such meanness and disdain, and it's because it's a reminder of her shame, or as a reminder of the fact that she had this baby with another man. So the question is Grace his daughter or Faith? I'm thinking one of those two may be his kid, but I'm thinking it's probably Grace. And we're gonna see when because that's all they showed, and I was like, ooh, May, here it is, you doing all this. And I'm saying, like, both of them, the bishop and Lady May, they both are one and the same. They are egotistical, they have made mistakes, and they don't like to own their stuff. And that's the problem. They too busy throwing blame at each other when they need to be looking in the mirror and putting the blame there, because they both are the reasons why the family is in shambles the way it is right now. So then we see that Charity and Michael talk on the phone. We see that he's in his car. He didn't go because he wanted to go with her, and he says he wanted to do a rain check for them to go another time. But then she lets him know that, yeah, that's cool, but earlier you made some comments about my ex-husband, and I wasn't okay with that. I kind of felt some kind of way. He's like, well, he deceived you. That's the biggest deception. He deceived you, and then yet he's still living in deception, and he's still struggling with that sin. You know, I can't be okay with that. You know, and she's like, but he's still a good person, and he's still the father of my child. And he's like, why are you defending him? You deserve better. And I'm like, first of all, bro, you just met her to be doing all this crap. And it got to a point where Charity was like, well, I'm sorry, but I don't think this is gonna work with us. And she just hangs up. And I'm like, I had to give Charity, you know, my props on this one, because I'm like, no, you're not just gonna come up in here and pass judgment and pass shame on somebody. Like, first of all, we all fall short to the glory of God. None of us are perfect. And personally, I don't think being gay is a sin. It's a natural way of being. Just because it's not in the Bible doesn't make it not true. And here it is, this man just met this woman. But first of all, Charity shouldn't have told him about her personal business like that. You were too foretelling, and it gave him the option to pass judgment, when yet he shouldn't have passed judgment anyway. He should have folded his hand. I'm like, you trying to get to know this person, and yet you bashing her ex-husband, saying that, you know, it's a deception and it's a disgrace, and, you know, he's obviously still struggling with that sin. And I'm like, bruh, like, you not struggling with your sins? Because you passing judgment, you're sinning right now, fool. And that's the thing that's funny, when a lot of these black Christians do that crap, where they want to bash gay people, but where is God doing? Where is the God when you're doing that? Huh? You think God is happy that you're tearing down your other brother and sister, when yet you're no better than they are? So I was glad that Charity stood up for Kevin and was like, this ain't gonna work. I'll just talk to you later. Shut it right down. And I'm like, yeah, because you just met her and you were already judging her ex-husband. Like, dude, fall back. So then we see that Grace goes to talk to the bishop. And he's all excited and everything, and she's like, you know what? I got some news, and I'm concerned. And he said that, look, it's something I got to tell you about Rochelle Cross. And he immediately got defensive. you better have some real good evidence if you're gonna come up in here talking about her. I'm like, you just met this chick. You just got your divorce just signed. The ink ain't even dry on your divorce and you already up her behind. And that's when she drops the bomb. Rochelle's last name is not Cross. Her last name is James. She's Daryl James's daughter, the guy that burnt up in the church. And she's Basie's half-sister. Bishop's mouth dropped. I'm like, you thought you knew her, didn't you? So then we see that Zora and Isaiah are like, Isaiah's like on the couch sleep, you know, and they're obviously in this nice apartment, and you know, the 4 pictures of him are on the wall because he's so obsessed with himself. And then we actually see in the laptop, she actually, it's like her her appointment with Spellman, and the thing is she gonna actually go? But I think she's actually going to go against him and actually choose her. But we're gonna know that when you don't choose him, that's when the monster comes out. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen with that. And the fact that you're in Atlanta and nobody in your family knows where you are, you're in danger, sweetheart. We're gonna see how she gonna play it. So then pretty much Carissa and Jacob have a moment, and they said that, look, you know, we need to talk to Tasha to get to the bottom of this. You know, we really need her help. And he was like, well, then call her. They still call him, but, you know, she's not answering the phone. And she's still in there drinking that same bottle of Jack Daniels. She's crying and everything. I'm like, girl, you crying over a married man. Girl, Tasha, you pathetic. I'm sorry. You pathetic because at the end of the day, you fell in love with a man who was married. Do you really think that man was going to leave his wife for you? But she's just in her feelings, just been crying, going off the whole episode. And then all of a sudden she gets a knock on the door and she thinking it's Rochelle. So she's going off. She grabs her lamp or whatever and pretty much charges like, Rochelle, I told you to stay the hell away from here. What do you want? And then the next thing you know, Rochelle just stepped aside. And then all of a sudden we see Basie coming right in, and I'm like, yo, this was cool that they showed this on Halloween. Oh, excuse me. It was cool that they showed this episode on Halloween because Basie came back like the boogeyman. Like, seriously. Like, he literally came back like a little boogeyman or a little demon just coming back, and she immediately shut down. She's like, oh, Basie. And he's, you know, he grabbed her by her neck and everything, and she tried to grab him, and he just grabbed her hand and was like, and then all of a sudden he pushed her against the wall and was like, so I heard you been a bad girl. And I'm like, ooh. So Rochelle knew where he was the entire time. And they both some bullies. And I'm like, yo, what they gonna do to Tasha? But that's where it cut off though. So, and as I said, there's 3 more episodes left, and there are going to be some fireworks this season, and it's already been approved for a season 4. Like Greenleaf, you guys are delivering on this show, and I'm on the edge of my seat, and I can't wait to see what happens next. But that's what I have. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. Subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow me on all of my social platforms. I have them all listed in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I'll be back with the next episode of Greenleaf. I can't wait, y'all. So until next time, everybody, take care.